right, with opening day around the corner, how can you not be excited? I'm excited. You're excited?
I'm excited.
I'm Mike Cardano alongside Pat Mayo, and here we are just a couple of days before opening day, and you know, with the Astros moving to the American League West, there's going to be an interleague game every day on the schedule. So with that, we find that Eric Hosmer is going to play right field during National League games in National League ballparks. So is this a big deal for Hosmer owners? I know Francoeur owners probably don't like it that much. There's got to be a Francoeur owner somewhere. Billy Butler will go to first, right?
That's right.
And Francoeur goes to the bench.
So the two good things here is Billy Butler will probably retain his first base eligibility going into next year. He'll probably get to the 20 games again. And Hosmer will probably end up getting outfield eligibility, which it's not a huge deal, but in case you have too many corner infielders, too many good corner infielders, you can plug them in out there. Just having the extra position flexibility is really key. And from a real baseball standpoint, this is great news for the Royals. If they could get Jeff Francoeur into the lineup every day, they'd be much better. So I really like this. I think we saw Adrian Gonzalez do it last year, go to the outfield, and he earned outfield eligibility. And Hosmer is a much better athlete than...
Well, Francoeur is an exceptional defender, first of all.
No, he's not. He's a terrible defender. He has a good arm, but he's a
catch it first time.
You have to catch it first. Terrible defender. Terrible hitter, too.
Well, let's get to that. So I personally, I don't see what all the hoopla is about with Hosmer here. You know, I know he had a down year last year. I get it. I understand
He had an unlucky year last year, coupled with poor play.
Well, 231, I'd say that's unlucky.
Yeah, but his batting average of balls in play dropped almost 80 points. That was the difference.
I think maybe you got to put more balls in play. But let's just look at this. In 2010, his best season was in Double-A. He only hit 20 home runs, 86 RBI. The most he's ever hit in Major League, minor league is 20 home run. What's all the hoopla about with this guy?
I think it's the swing. You see his swing, and you see his contact rate. You see his ability to draw walks, and you see the potential there.
Contact rate, he hit 231 with 14 home runs and 60 RBI.
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, because his batting average of balls in play was 255. It was one of the lowest in the league.
Well, he's got to do a better job than that.
Well, I mean, that's not something you can necessarily control. That's something that's going to fluctuate from year to year. And if you're towards the bottom end, when it normalizes, you can expect to see that average come up at least 40 points at least. So if he comes back and has another decent year, increases his line drive rate, he's going to be fine. I like Hosmer this year. And when you look at it, even though he had the very, very poor year last year, increased his steals, increased his walk rate. So he did a few little things to compensate for the fact that he wasn't all that great. Plus, his second half wasn't all that bad. He hit 280 in the second half.
All right, he's currently has an average draft position of 10 in terms of first baseman. So you're telling me guys like Adam LaRoche...
Rather have Hosmer because of the steals.
Ike Davis?
Yes, much rather have him than Ike Davis. You want to talk about terrible average? Come on.
It wasn't any worse than him, and he 30 home runs, almost 100 RBI.
Yeah, and we're not going to the potential for Ike Davis to exponentially increase his average just isn't there.
Kendry Morales?
No.
Corey Hart?
Corey Hart's injured.
Ryan Howard put up virtually this almost identical stats in 260 less at-bats on one leg.
Okay.
And he's
also,
behind.
The common theme among all these guys is that they don't steal bases, and their upside is limited. Hosmer's upside is huge. You go on about how great Brandon Belt is.
Brandon Belt is behind him.
He should be. He doesn't have the same sort of upside.
But where has he ever shown the upside?
When he first came up, we saw the upside. The fact that the guy's basically
19 home runs, that 20 home runs even in the minors was his top.
In how many games though?
He had 535 at bats that year.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Last year he was almost identical.
He was a 19-year-old, and he's been getting better. And last year he hit a roadblock as a sophomore. He's going to be fine. You want to draft Eric Hosmer because you want to draft upside, and he's a guy with legitimate upside.
I should say so. 231. Let's move on to pitching. Vance Worley was announced as the opening day starter for the Minnesota Twins. Does this blow your skirt up?
Not really. The Twins don't really have anyone else. He would be the fifth starter on most teams.
You're insulting he who licks himself, Mike Pelfrey, Kevin Correa, Liam Hendricks, and Cole DeVries. Did I say
DeVries?
That right?
DeVries? Like DeVry College in Atlanta?
Yeah.
I don't know. I see infomercials for it. I have no idea. Who cares?
This
pitching staff is horrible.
And he wears those neat specs.
Yes, Worley does.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Scott Diamond coming back and Schwarzak coming back, so they're probably the two best pitchers on the team. I don't mind Worley. He's an extreme fly ball pitcher, moving to the right ballpark for him. I don't like the NL to AL
What did he do
here.
right when he first came up with the Phillies? Because he did well when he first came up, right?
He pitched in the National League, and he pitched in a really down NL East.
That helps.
Yeah, and he's a deception guy. He throws a decent changeup, but a lot of his mechanics are based on deception. Like, you see his strikeout rate is extremely high for some reason. I can't for the life of me figure it out. He misses a lot of bats. It's his delivery, and eventually these guys run out of steam. The league catches up to them.
Okay.
So I don't believe in Vance Worley. I mean, in AL-only formats, yeah, you have to take him. He's got to log innings in a good ballpark.
Okay. J.A. Happ agreed to a 2-year extension for almost $9 million with an option for $6.7 million for 2015. He's going to begin as the Blue Jays' 5th starter. Now, I got some strong opinions on Happ. I want to hear from you first. How do you feel about Happ?
I don't mind Happ, and we talked about how when Worley pitched in the NL East, it was down. The AL East is down this year. It's not the same sort of lineups that you're going to see trotting out every day. You know, a lefty pitcher is also good to mitigate the damage of what's going to happen in Fenway and Yankee Stadium against lefties. But he's playing in a decent lineup, so that's always a good thing, never a bad thing. With all things being equal. And his strikeout rate has gone up 3 straight years. His walk rate has gone down 3 straight years. He's acclimated himself to the American League last year when he came over in the trade, and he's outproduced his xFIP 2 straight years. So I don't think he's going to be an elite pitcher by any means, but he's also striking out almost a guy per inning. And so far, I think I know why he got the job, by the way. He's the guy who threw at Curtis Granderson and broke his arm.
Oh.
And they also had Ricky Rivera, who was just terrible. But he's pitched well this spring. I think in AL-only format, I'd rather have him than Worley. I think the strikeout potential's there, and I think just all things being equal, I'll take the guy on the better team.
All right, well, here's my thing. As near as I can tell, he sucks. Can I say sucks? Look, if you look at this, it's criminal. The Blue Jays, they need to get a tax write-off for his services.
Okay, let's hear what.
The opposing team should pay his salary. He started 52 games over the past 2 seasons. 52. He's been healthy. He has an ERA of over 5 and a WHIP of over 1.5. I mean, no offense to him or his family, but other than being lefty, which you pointed out, exactly what does he contribute to the game of baseball? He certainly doesn't contribute anything to fantasy.
Oh, yes, he does. He contributes strikeouts to no end. He's a great matchups guy. In a mixed league, he's a guy that I'll stream out every now and again if he's playing the right lineup. And last year, after he came over, he pitched quite well in Toronto. I think he was just, if you want to go the psychological route, he was bummed out about playing in Houston.
All right, there you have it. J.A. Happ. We have up next, here we go, Jason Hammel. Now, I guess he's the ace of the staff. He's going to be the starter.
The opening day, and he pitched like an ace last year.
He did, 3.43, 1.24 in 20 starts. I gather he wasn't a starter the whole year.
He got hurt.
Okay. Opening day pitcher, I guess he's the best they have. He's going up against David Price opening day. You're going to use him opening day?
I would use him. Yeah, you want to use anyone against the Rays lineup. Absolutely. The Rays had no punch, no offense. Even last year, and they strike out a ton. They're a great lineup to pick on in fantasy baseball.
So what's his main thing? That was his best year last year.
It was, and basically it was a fundamental shift in what he did. He comes over from Colorado, and it's funny because you'd think in Colorado you would have adopted the strategy there, but he was an extreme fly ball pitcher in Colorado. Comes over last year, now he's an extreme ground ball pitcher. He increases his strikeout rate by 2 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's a lot. So the fundamental approach he took on the mound was completely different, and it really paid dividends. My only thing is if he can sustain that, and that's where it comes in, where he's dropping in drafts. He's not going as high as his stats bear he should be, and I understand that because it's 1 year.
Yeah.
What do we know? Maybe that flips back the other way. If he becomes a fly ball pitcher at Camden Yard, that's nothing but bad news. So I like Jason Hammel. Jason Hammel has the best upside of the 3 pitchers we just talked about. And if he can sustain this again, he's going to be a top 20 pitcher. He just needs to stay healthy and keep pounding the ball into the ground and make sure it doesn't get elevated on him, because he's going to be in serious trouble then.
I tend to agree. Showalter's not a dope. If he chose him as the opening day guy, he must be the best they have, and you might have something there.
They have a lot of options. They run basically 9 deep now. If you consider Dylan Bundy and you consider Brian Mattis and guys like that.
You need 9 when guys get knocked out in the 3rd inning.
Hey, the Orioles made the playoffs last year. They're looking okay.